Start game now. Welcome, retro fans, to Retro Reviews with the No Swear Gamer. I am your host, the No Swear Gamer, and today we are going to continue our ABCs of Retro Gaming series, where we go through the alphabet one letter at a time and find a game that begins with that letter. And today I'm joined by my special co-host, The Claw. Nothing can stop the Claw, because when I gave a hint for my letter I game, I gave this hint. Ooh, the Claw has chosen me. Sounds like it came from Toy Story, but what it's really in reference to is the box art or cover art to this game, Invasion from Beyond. And the Claw that's grabbing that lady there on the cover. I won this game from Sweet from the Retro Obscura podcast. I want to give a shout out to him real quick. What happened was I went on episode 19 of their show and I stumped them with some quiz questions, and he sent me this because of that, as well as two other games. So I'm wondering, is he very generous, or was he trying to, pad a really bad game? We'll find out as we review Invasion from Beyond. But the first thing I wanted to say is just how much I enjoy this cover art. Really does remind me of a B movie, a bad movie from like the 60s or 50s, one of those cheesy sci-fi movies that are so bad in a mystery science theater kind of way that they're fun to watch. And actually in Europe, I believe this game was called B Movie. Brought to us by GT Interactive in 1998, Invasion from Beyond features great cover art. Looks like it has a kind of a Mars Attacks feel to it. You got the fleet of invaders coming. And how about that? Your planet needs you now. Fear, discover, see, experience. Yeah, I really like the packaging of this game. I think it really makes it stand out, especially to people like me who like B movies. So let's go ahead, put this into our Sony PlayStation 1 and find out if Invasion from Beyond is beyond awesome or something we should say far beyond from. Our worst fears have been confirmed. The reported abduction of farm workers and the resulting discovery of crop circles in the farmlands outside of Washington, D.C. were no coincidence. It seems that what started as an innocent country celebration, slap an alien, the locals' annual exorcism of superstitious fears, quickly became an unwitting welcome party for our Martian friends. In the skies above Tiny Town, hundreds of silhouettes are being reported on almost an hourly basis. The eastern United States has experienced 2 full solar eclipses in the last 2 days. Something extraterrestrial is afoot. We must be moved to DEFCON 1, and thus begins the manual of Invasion from Beyond for your Sony PlayStation system. You are in charge of defeating all these aliens who've all of a sudden come across Tiny Town. Now, Tiny Town is a 3D world, so when you fly your not a spacecraft, I guess you're an aircraft, they have the spacecraft. When you fly your aircraft, you are on basically this little sphere, kind of like Super Mario Galaxy for the Wii if you're familiar with those planets, except you can't see the sphere, you just see a little bit of fog in front of you. So if you drive straight ahead, after a very little while you'll see the same thing over and over. It is actually a very small area. It's very easy to go from one point to another in this game, and it is best described as sort of a 3D version of Desert Strike, a series that became famous on the Genesis and other systems, where you fly a helicopter in those games, and you have a series of missions to beat in each level. So let's say there's 5 missions, you have to beat all 5 to defeat the level. If you die on mission 4, you have to restart the level, and it's very similar in this game as well, where you're given missions to do. So you pick one of 3 pilots, you hop into one of your selected spacecrafts or aircrafts, and you fly around a planet, destroying things and also completing mission objections. Throughout the missions, you'll give several objections. It could be anything from picking up people to dropping them off to building things to destroying things, so on and so forth. The controls, well, let's put it this way. They use full use of the controls. You have an accelerate button, a reverse button you can fire, and you can engage what they call the Succomatic, which is basically like a large vacuum cleaner attached to your ship, and it serves a big purpose in this game. You see, at some point, you will have to pick up people and objects, and at other point, you'll have to take those same objects and people, and you'll have to drop them off in prescribed locations. You can also strafe to left and right, and you can also cycle through weapons, which you start with a machine gun or a missile. So that kind of sets up the general basis of this game. So how does it look? It looks very polygonal, very kind of early PlayStation. It's not so bad in movement. It's not the greatest, but it's not so bad. When you're a pilot, when they zoom in on the pilot, you really can see the polygonal effects in their faces. They look very blocky, if you will. The music I thought was really good. I think it did remind me of a B movie, a Mars Attack movie, if you will. I thought that was kind of the highlight of the game. But let's get to the gameplay, and this is where I had some difficulties. I knew I was in trouble when during the tutorial I had to restart it like 3 or 4 times, and it all started when I was supposed to follow this one pilot around the world, basically just stick with him. And I didn't realize what he meant when he said stick with me was literally stick to him. Literally, I had to keep my aircraft about 1 inch away from his, where I was basically riding like right below him or on top of him. I tried just following him, and that did not work, even though I was really close to him. And when that happened and I had to restart the tutorial a few times, I started getting the feeling I was in trouble. And another thing that kind of gave me that feeling is kind of the physics of the game. The best way I can describe it is, imagine you are on an air hockey puck, on an air hockey table. That's kind of how it feels. If you're familiar with air hockey, once the puck moves, it moves very quickly. It's very hard to stop, very hard to be precise, very hard to change directions on a dime. And this game requires it sometimes. For instance, there was this one level where I had to pick up these scientists and drop them off at this location, but it had to be close enough. And to make things worse, then I had to build something. I never quite got this right, where you had to stack these pieces like Legos, and they were very small, right on top of each other. If you're off just a little bit, it didn't count. And I just got really, really, really frustrated with this game, and it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth to the point where I didn't want to play. I didn't even realize the music was good until I started to do the review and reviewed some of the videotape footage I did, because I wasn't paying attention to the music. I was paying attention trying to master these controls, and you will be thrown a lot right away. Early on, you're going to have aliens coming from you left and right. You feel like you're an arcade game, but at the same time you have to do this precision pickups and drop downs. I think if they would have just stuck to the kind of arcadey feeling, kind of got rid of that vacuum cleaner mechanic, but just blow up a bunch of people, I think it would have been better off. I think they just tried to take off too much. It was a very ambitious game for what it was. This is an early kind of 3D flying game. I think it was very ambitious. I think it was too much too soon for this thing. So there you go with this game. I didn't play it all the way through because I just got too frustrated, and I don't think I could have. And you know what's interesting is when I poked around the internet looking for, I went to GameFAQs, okay? GameFAQs usually has like 4 or 5 FAQs for just about any game. They didn't have any for this game, probably because no one wasted their time playing it. I also went on YouTube to see if other people had footage, and there was barely anything on this game. So this tells me that this game is just not this engaging to a lot of people. It did seem to get some good reviews when I read some early reviews, but maybe that was just because it was early 3D and people were still enamored by it. But now that the kind of luster has worn off, I just can't recommend this game. It is a somewhat family-friendly game. It's rated E for everyone. All you're doing is blowing up stuff, so it's just a little animated violence. I will say this. The music, which I thought was really good, actually scared my 4-year-old girl when she heard it in the background. Just that little, that kind of Mars Attack kind of music kind of spooked her a little bit. So if you have really little ones, you may not want them to hear the music. If you want to pick this up on eBay, they're dirt cheap. I saw a complete copies easily go from $5 to $10, so it's not very much, and that includes the shipping. I even saw one loose disc go for under $3, and that included the shipping. I know what it costs to ship stuff and the fees and stuff. That eBay seller who sold it for under $3 almost paid the other person to take it off their hands, so that should tell you something about this game. So where would I rank Invasion from Beyond? Well, Invasion from Beyond reminds me a lot of the movie Mars Attacks. And Mars Attacks, when it came out, you see, I'm a big fan of these kind of, B-quality movies. I'm a Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of guy, so I really enjoy those movies. So I was really excited when Mars Attacks came out, the Tim Burton movie that was based on the Topps card game, or trading cards, and I was really excited until I saw the movie, and I just left the movie kind of like meh. wasn't really that entertained, even though it had a lot of things going in. Tim Burton, I think Danny Elfman did a lot of stars. The story just meh. And I think that's the thing about B movies. They have to be made with the intention of being good, but they end up being cheesy and bad. I don't think it's easy to make a B movie on purpose. And the same thing goes with this game. It had a good intention. The packaging really kind of drew me in a little bit in the story. I thought the manual, I think the presentation of the game, as far as the packaging and the description, they have kind of a tongue-in-cheek humor throughout the manual. I thought that was really excellent. I thought it was the best part of the game. But the gameplay just left such a bad taste in my mouth that despite the fact that it has decent graphics and great music, I just don't want to touch it. So looking at my list here, I think, it's better than Addams Family, where I think with a little practice I could get through a few more missions, even though I really don't want to have to go through it again. But you know what? This says a lot. I'd rather play E.T. than this, and I'd rather play Bubsy on the Sega Genesis than that. How about that? I'd rather play Bubsy and E.T. than this game again. So this is going to go into the lucky number 13 spot. So there you go, Invasion from Beyond for your Sony PlayStation. Best to enjoy it from a distance. Read the manual, it's a whole lot funner. So there you go. Next time on my Retro Gaming ABC series, I will be doing the letter J. And here is my hint for that one. It is the man who hates the Thundercats. It's the man who hates the Thundercats. See if you can figure that one out. So that'll be up next, coming real soon. I'll do that on the next episode. Hey, thanks for giving me a little part of your day. If you want to follow me on Facebook, go to facebook.com/TheNoSwearGamer. And you can also subscribe to me here and like the videos. I'd appreciate that very much. So anyways, this is the No Swear Gamer telling you, once again, I look forward to seeing you right here on the next episode of Retro Reviews. Catch you later.